No, not resolution time. That ship has sailed. But I am going to walk you through Oak Meadow's English program and tell you all about it and do our mid-year update as it entails to 8th grade English.
Foggy mornings are where I begin. Conversations I can never win, but it's not a competition. Though if it was, I'm losing.
Welcome back, friends. If you're brand new to my channel, my name is Arlene with Arlene & Company. As I said before, we're going to go over Oak Meadow's English program, and we are going to do a mid-year update as it entails to English for my 8th grader. Full disclaimer, this was sent to me in exchange for my honest review, but if you've been following me for a while, you know that I have been using Oak Meadow since my youngest was in 1st grade, so we've used every level from 1st grade up. So I have a lot of experience with Oak Meadow's style and how it evolves from year to year and how it grows, and we also have used high school courses from going into 9th grade in the fall. But she did take some early high school credit. So if you have any questions, even if it's not about 8th grade, feel free to let me know in the comments down below. I always come back to those and make sure that I answer your questions. This was sent to me, but in no way was I obligated to give a positive review or review at all. My opinions are always my own, and as I said, I am very familiar with Oak Meadow. So first, I'm going to go over what comes in this package if you were to buy the entire thing. Please note that I am reviewing the 2nd edition of Oak Meadow 8 English. There is now available a 3rd edition, which I have noted just from the listing. I am going to follow up with them and see how much. Sometimes it's just simple tweaks, and that has been what has changed out. They've swapped out some literature, in effort for greater diversity and for other reasons as well. They swap out other some literatures and tweak the curriculum a little bit, but there hasn't been a complete overhaul in a bit. So I'm not sure that it was a complete overhaul. I don't think it was, but I will verify that with you guys. So and I will add that in a comment down below. I can see 2 novels were swapped out. One of them I'm excited that they did, and I'll tell you why in a little bit. But let's go over the package. You can get a complete grade package, which will come with everything you need from the Oak Meadow English, but then it would include your sciences, your social studies and all that jazz, plus the literature and all. However, you also can purchase the English package all together, which if you order the English package, you will get, and always pay attention to the listing in case anything has changed, don't hold me to it. You will get the course book. This is what your student is written directly to the students who for greater independence. Doesn't mean they don't need you, but you can have your child work independently, especially starting from 4th grade on is when they transition to writing it directly to the child. So Oak Meadow English 8 will come with the course book, and then you will have your teacher manual, and I will show you the difference between those two. So this is what will come with the literature package. You will get the course book and the teacher manual. You'll get the 100 ways to improve your composition and creative writing. All of this is available individually, and the glare will go away as soon as I start flipping pages. I apologize for that. It is what it is, but you will get this. This is something that if you need nothing else, I absolutely highly recommend this resource from them. It's fantastic, and I'll let you know everything about it as we flip through that as well. And then you have the literature packages that comes along with it. The elements of style, this is assigned throughout their course book. It has elementary rules of usage, and then elementary principles of compositions, and then a few form matters, words of expression, commonly misused. This is basically like your guide, and you use these rules and things like that throughout, and it's just kind of just straightforward. This is not my daughter's favorite element, but it's here and it comes with that. Now you have the Magnolia Sword, a Ballad of Milan. That is one of the books that it is still listed in the 3rd edition. Everything I'm showing you first is still listed in the 3rd edition. This is Before the Ever After. We're looking forward to this one. This one is read, I believe, is the first one that you read is Baseball in April and other stories, and these are a collection of short stories. So you're gonna see like a great variation throughout. This is The Giver. You guys know I had started doing a novel study of The Giver, and then I realized that it was in the 8th grade package, and we stopped, and then we went ahead and did this. So it comes with The Giver. Surprise, surprise, my daughter did not get into The Giver. I was shocked about that because I thought she would really like it, and she really was just like, eh. Then you have this massive one, Echo, and from Pan Munoz Ryan, and look at this thing. It's ginormous. It's ginormous. Anyhow, so we have not gotten to Echo yet. So that is one that is coming up. A Wrinkle in Time, and this is one that's well enjoyed. Now, these are two that I've noticed that are no longer listed, which there's a swap, and I'll insert a picture of what I see on the listings with the two different books that are new. This is The Adventures of Robin Hood. My daughter did enjoy this one, but this one was swapped out, and I feel like maybe it was swapped out in effort to just kind of like refresh and stuff like that. One that if you paid attention to my stories, I did comment that as I was discussing with another fellow friend that uses Oak Meadow, and this was a book that it's good. I just felt like it was for an older audience, more like high school, and maybe like for some 8th graders, they're there developmentally, but I felt like a lot of things that were in here was not appropriate for my child, but it could be for yours. But this is Leave the Song Behind, a teen poetry at its best, and the collection in here is pretty rad. I like the concept of this, and that is an anthology written completely by teens. But, you know, there is some things that I just felt like we're not at that stage where it felt right for me. So I am glad that they listen to their Oak Meadow families. And I believe it wasn't the first time someone has mentioned that, like, this seems more like a high school title, 10, 11, or I don't know. And they did listen, and it was swapped out. You may feel completely differently. That's fine. Don't come at me for that. But I just felt like it wasn't for my kid. And I'll show you what the teacher guides looks like, because a lot of people ask, do I really need the teacher guides? And that's completely up to you and how confident you feel. But there is sample answers and things like that throughout. Now, there is ample amount, and I did not see it loaded yet for edition samples loaded yet, so I'm sure that's soon to come, but you still get the general idea. Their Oak Meadow programs, even in high school, has the same structure of how it's written, so you really do get a good consensus. They give ample amount of samples. When I talk about ample amount of samples, they usually have like 70 pages or something crazy like that worth of samples, so you can get a really good idea of whatever grade you're looking at. So on here, you're gonna be divided into units. Remember that at this stage, it is written directly to the child, so you can have them work a lot of things independently and have you there as backup. I am more of like, you know, Waldorf inspired, which there is that still in the upper grades. Some may disagree and think it's more academic, but I still see the influence, and that's, you know, their origins too of the creator. Evolved. They've been around since the 70s, so they know curricula and they grow with it, and they met the demands of what was needed of them from people that are in different states and had different requirements of what to teach, and then went ahead and added that without losing their dose of magic and you know, and whole child approach. So it is whole child, it is holistic, but it is also rigorous. Oak Meadow is known for being writing heavy, and that is true to the core, but it's flexible, so you can edit out or in whatever you need to do. All right, so introduction, you have looking ahead, you have the books here that is broken up into, you can see visually like how many lessons. Each lesson is a week, or traditionally a week. If you decide to take longer than that, that's up to you. But each one will tell you how long you're going to be at that book. So when you're mapping it out or you're trying to pace it, you can see exactly just from the table of contents how long you're going to be at that book. So unit 2 is looking behind. So unit 1 was looking ahead, then looking behind. So you have Magnolia Sword, Baseball in April, and so on. And then unit 3 is listening, and then Unit 4 is looking inside. So I love the way that this was divided. There's a total of 36 lessons for a 36-week school year. Again, you can expand that if need be. Can you condense it if your child is very driven? Sure. Okay, so in the introduction, you're gonna have like all the information about what you're gonna be learning about this year. There's gonna tell you all your course materials and what you should have in hand. So if you bought it secondhand or anything like that, and you need to purchase something directly from Oak Meadow and find out what you exactly need for the edition that you have, then you will see that in the course book. All right, and then it will tell you also some additional materials that may not come with your course book, but they usually, if you go into their shop, and they have updated their shop, so it's user friendly. You can find a lot of things, and especially per grade, and it will give you that information of what you may need also as well. And this tells you how the course is set up, so you know how to read the lessons and what they exactly mean, and what you should have your child prepare for ahead of time. You have the option of enrolling as an Oak Meadow student, which you would be under the direction of one of their Oak Meadow teachers. This is an option for those that seek it, especially if they want to do it for high school and get a high school diploma via Oak Meadow, or do it their route. They have all that information on their site on Oak Meadow, and that will also be linked down below. No, I am not an affiliate for Oak Meadow. I appreciate all you that ask, and because this seems like the right fit for you, and you want to go ahead and purchase this via my link. I don't have a link for Oak Meadow. I'm not an affiliate, and I don't even think they have an affiliate program, but thank you so much. So directly to their store, that's all you need. All right, so unit 1, it breaks up like, okay, this is what we're gonna learn about in this first unit, and introduces the literature that they're gonna have. And again, this is like unit 1 looking ahead. The lessons are broken up just as you're used to seeing from me or anywhere else. In the same format. So if you start using this from itty bitty, kinder, pre-K, I have reviewed pre-K as well. Even though I didn't use pre-K, I did review pre-K. Pre-K looks a little different, but from the grade all written with the same format. So once you get used to this format, it's like easy peasy, because you're gonna be following that along even in high school. All right, so you have here, you're gonna see the lesson 1, but you're gonna know that this means 1 week. So when you're looking at this, or your student is looking at this, don't be alarmed. They have the entire week to finish this. Now, the beauty of Oak Meadow is being able to take away as much as you need to, or put in as much as you need to. This is one of those programs that is perfect for people like me that do not know how to follow the rules, or incapable of doing that and following a script. So if you like the influences of other curricula and you want to mesh them in, but you're afraid that it's gonna be too much, Oak Meadow is really friendly towards supplementing or adding in something else, just because you really don't wanna miss out on another element that will work really well for your child. So that's great. You have the assignment summary right here listed. So without having to read everything, you're gonna see a checkbox on here. Now, we're in the habit of not writing in our curricula because I have a younger child and he inherits it, all right? So we are in the habit of not writing on here, and then once we're done, we go ahead and donate it to a local family, or I've been known to mail it to a friend as well. Anywho, so you have the assignment summary here, so that you can go ahead and check off as you like. See that you're gonna have choices for assignments. So there is going to be, especially with your sciences and stuff, you're gonna have multiple ways of completing an assignment that may fit your child best, and it's not like a variation of a writing thing. It has a mixture of whether it's a hands-on or writing or this, but there is still writing heavy elements. You have the learning objectives, so they get used to reading it like a syllabus. Then the reading, and then it tells you what you're expected to read. Now, you will see once you get to the chapter books, it will say you have to get this week through chapter 6 to be on pace for the schedule. All right, and then in this level, they have something that I really enjoy, which is the reader's journal. And this is something that they're gonna keep throughout the year, not necessarily something that's gonna be graded or anything like that, but it's something that helps them with note taking. And I mean, even me as a book nerd, I forget what I read, and when I try to retell when you do those big book reviews, it really helps to have those notes. So I love that they get them in the habit of this, but they also give them some prompts throughout. Grammar is done in a completely I would say very much holistic type of way, which I really love and enjoy. And as a former English major that somehow ended up in nursing, yes, journalism and English major once upon a time. And ended up in nursing, I appreciate the different takes to grammar. That is just not cut and dry. So you have the grammar tips, and that is I'm working throughout, and they're going to pull elements out that they're going to be practicing in within context, because there is a lot of studies, and don't quote me on this if you disagree or whatever. It's fine. There's a lot of studies I've personally read, which I agree with, that grammar is better consumed within context and retained that way. Now, not every student is the same, but for my child, my oldest child, this is for sure a way that she thrives in, and because she actually remembers it and then applies it into her own writing. So this is something that we really go for, and that is why we also dropped Fix It Grammar this year for her. There was no need for it. This method works for her, so we just continue on with that. Nothing wrong with Fix It Grammar. I still recommend it, but it was just not needed for her. All right, and then vocabulary, you are going to have a lot of freedom of picking vocabulary within the context of the literature that you have. You can pick it together. There's all kinds of different elements of how vocabulary is done, but it's like basically the word of the week, and you're going to be able to do it in several different forms. One of the things I've added for vocabulary, and this is something that we do fun together. I saw eons ago, Tanya from Project Happy Home, she shared this one, and the other version I think as well, and we finally picked it up, and kiddos love it. So this is vocabulary cartoons, SAT Power. Learn hundreds of SAT words with easy memory techniques, and we just do these sporadically, and we pick a few words a week, and they apply it within you know, whatever general conversation that they're having, and they try to see if like daddy figures out that they're using this word. When then he gets home, he has like no idea, but then they'll pick that word and they will say something and add that word in and see if he catches that they're, you know, saying the ramifications for my actions, and he'll just like, what? Oh, it's a vocabulary word of the day. And it's just like a fun way that we do the twist and stuff. So this is something that we added for vocabulary. Do you really need to add more things to it? No, we just do. And if you need to do like vocabulary stuff, you need to do extra vocabulary, you can, you know, honestly pick up a workbook or something like that if you really need more. And spelling is, again, that's something that at this stage there's not a separate spelling. It kind of just goes into vocabulary, and then they practices within their writing and such. Then assignments. Here you're gonna have, for example, choose your favorite of 3 short stories as you read. Write them down on the title and give a brief summary of the plot. A good summary includes a brief description of the main story, conflict, and all that stuff. And they're gonna go over these writing types of elements, and I'm going to show you with those assignments in just a bit of how that works, because you're wondering, okay, well, how do they write their paragraph, or how do they write their paper, or does it give the explicit instructions? Yes, friends, hold on one second. All right. Then here, they're going to be numbers so they can pace themselves. And a lot of times you will see like choose between these 3 things, or choose with this, or sometimes it's like this is the list of assignments, right? So identify one thing the author did well, one thing you think that has been improved. What do you like about the story? What didn't you like? Explain your choices. Again, it's going to have a lot of writing elements, because at this stage they're really also gearing up like, hey, we're going into high school. So you really start seeing that level up from 3rd grade on. You start seeing more writing focus, and then once you hit middle school, every single subject, and I'm not saying in lower grades that there's not more writing in other subjects, but every single subject will have a writing element to it. Do you have to do it all? No. All right, so then again, here I'm just reading these assignments just to give you an idea. Write down one way the story reminded you of something in your own life. What aspect of the story could you relate to, and why? And in the way that they do this, they're actually having them practice different forms of writing. All right, so here is where this book, where I talked about, and this is another one that we're not writing in. So they just use their notebook. This is 100 ways to improve your composition. So they have to read the following section and then complete the exercise, right? So here is where, so let's find exercise 1. And I usually just change this out. So here is part 1, composition, right? So here's exercise 1. So before you begin writing about writing, for some people writing is a difficult task, to others is a hobby, a profession, an art, so on and so on. So here is the first exercise. So it's going to take some time about writing. Write at least 1 page. You might want to consider the following questions, and it gives them us following questions of of what they would need to think about as they're brainstorming or mapping out this paper. Now they have them start with writing about writing as like a creative type of writing element before they get into more structure type of thing, just to get their juices flowing. Now in this book you can write straight into it. Again, I have a younger child, so we don't write in this book, and then it gives them tidbits throughout. So the way that this book works, it really breaks down things pieces by pieces, right? And by the time you've done all the exercises, you really do see a big difference in their writing. Now, have we done all the exercises at this point? No, because we're not through the entire curricula, but I have seen that as we do subjects, it's the civics, and she has writing assignments within civics, or she has writing assignments within science, or whatever she may be doing, I see the difference in her writing. Is OakMeadow solely responsible for that this year? Yes. Other years? No, because we blended with other things as well, because she needed help being dyslexic and stuff, right? But the way this is structured, if there was a book like this in other younger levels, I would have loved to see that. So this is something that we also practice a few of these in 7th grade, because I got this book earlier. All right, so if it gives them examples, it gives them different exercises, and then you jump into another exercise. All right, so wordiness, word economy, all this stuff. So there is all kinds of different elements of writing that is broken up here, and you will be prompted in the course book when to pick it up and which exercise you are going to be doing. All right, so it's going to correlate it to whatever you are doing, so it is within theme, and you can follow it that way. So if you're just doing this book, then you can just follow it in order. That's fine. But if you're doing it along with English, you are going to be following it out of order, because it's not always going to go in order. It's going to have you jump. Like, for example, you see this says exercise 1, and the next one says exercise 100. So it is going to tie it into whatever they're studying. And also, even though the subjects at this stage could be done independently, it's going to correlate it to the theme of other subjects as well, right? For example, OakMeadow is civics, and yes, I will be doing a full review of civics as well. So, for example, here's writing a friendly letter. They give them the examples, and then they give them the exercise to do as they complete it, okay? And that continues on. Again, this is a very great resource that I highly suggest even grabbing separately. All right, so that is it for that assignment. And then you have the learning checklist that you probably have seen before. If you haven't, take a look at any grade you would like to see. And if you haven't, I started the YouTube channel when we were doing 6th grade, 6 last 7, and then I put it back in her regular grade, which was 7 last year. Anything under that is on my Instagram. I had IGTV, which is not called that anymore, but all those videos are still there. If you have a hard time finding a specific video, just send me a DM over on Instagram, or just leave a comment and I will go ahead and link it for you of what grade you're looking at. The only grade that we did not use was grade 3, because for some reason I got an itch to use something else that year, and I regretted it because I really wanted to go back, and I did. So the only grade we did miss was grade 3, but that's a wonderful year as well. All right, so the checklist, you see this that they can self-grade, and also you can do along with them. Skills, developing, competent, exceeds expectations. So these are skills that you are expected to be able to be honing in on as you complete each lesson. So this will also actually give you a summary of what you should be gathering for everything you did, right? So use a new word in conversation and writing, summarize a story plot, identify strengths and weaknesses of the story, make a connection between fiction and real life, reflect on the writing process. So if you see that something is being checked off as developing, or maybe like I have no idea what that is, then you can pause and address those areas of weaknesses. All right, and if some things are seeming to be a little bit too easy, that's something you can also address. So now let's skip completely forward and just give you an idea of later on in the year. So here we have lesson 16, which is quite a different lesson because you're going to be doing a short story, so things are a little bit more condensed. All right, so lesson 16, you have the same thing, learning objectives, what you're reading, and those reading parts that will be part of their course book as well. You have the assignment summary on the side. Again, you can see the exercises right here that you're going to be doing in the 100 Ways book, which 54, 55, 76. So if you are a planner like me, and 53 right there, if you're a planner like me, you can go ahead and plot those out, or if they're using their own student planner, you can put it right on their student planner, or they can pace themselves if they're at that level of independence where they can go ahead and decide what days they're doing what. My daughter does, for the most part, decide what day she's doing what. I wanted to give her more control over her schedule this year in order to prepare her for high school level content. Not that she's already doing high school courses, and she has been since last year. However, to have a full load of all high school courses, I wanted her to get into the habit of controlling or managing her own schedule. All right, so here you have the grammar tip, and this is, as you can see, is more involved. For example, as a creative writer, one of the most important skills to learn is writing a dialogue. So this is, speaking about dialogue, is pulling in from the literature that they're reading as well, and other things and passages, and then they're going to go ahead and apply that to their writing. Again, you have their word of the week, and we'll give them like some tips and tricks and stuff like that as well. Assignments, again, you have that element. You have the 100 ways. So here you have it more spelled out than the simple checklist, and it has, if your child is advanced, and even though, like I said, writing is pretty rigorous at this level, and middle school altogether, it will also give them opportunities for additional assignments, additional things that will help challenge them and keep them on different things, that is not just like write another paper. As a former gifted child in school, the answers schools had for me in particular was just give her more work. And I appreciate that it doesn't take that approach of just give the child more work, and actually gives them opportunity to use their creative juices as somebody as creative as my daughter is, and allows them to use those skills in a different way, right? So it varies. It's not always like, oh, write something else or things like that. All right, so let's go towards... Here you're on another unit, and again, it introduces that additional unit and then goes from there. You have that same structure, and then here's the reader's journal that you're going to be doing. Think about it. This is something that we did not discuss before, so think about it. So some people say they love poetry, some say they hate it. If you fall in love with the latter category, think about how this preconception colors your experience of reading new poetry. Try to put aside your feelings or beliefs about what poetry is or isn't. What is your experience of poetry that has been in the past? And read the teen poems with an open mind and heart. Now, here is where I said that I was going to swap out that book, right? Here is, and I thought it was the last book, but it's not. Here is where I say that it's so simple to swap out the book, because even within the assignments for here, choose one of the poems you read. It can be one you liked or one that you didn't understand, whatever it may be. This makes it, it's not completely open-ended, but as long as you find a book within the same theme, you can complete the Oak Meadows assignments with a different book. So a lot of times where I hear, well, like, I'm not sure if they, what to do when they don't like a book or whatever. Most of the time I make my child push through it, because you're not always going to be assigned a book that you like, especially in university level and such, or, in high school. And you kind of just have to learn to push through it and read the required literature. But sometimes it's this book, like for this instance, that I just don't necessarily feel like it's right for my child at this point. Then it's easy for you to swap out the title, all right, and do the same assignment within the same theme and still be able to complete it without having to write up the whole entire assignment. You don't have to. It's very easy the way that they write it in and stuff. So that is their course book. Again, you see that the grammar tips get pretty expansive and such. And then you have the appendix in here. You have academic expectations, original work guidelines, citing your sources. So we did citing your sources. You saw it in 6th grade. I did those reviews of 6th grade. You can look at those. I'll link it down below. but you'll see the first time they address those really like focus on is citing your sources. But just because it was addressed in another grade, they don't assume that you know how to do it already. They give you those clues and things like that as part of their appendix, so you can refer back to it and do all that jazz. So here you have citing sources, how you list it, alphabetical order and all that stuff. So they have that cheat sheet. They have the stuff on plagiarism, which I see, I think pretty much all the middle grades and stuff. With the teacher manual, let me show you. So you have the same introduction, you have the same table of context, and then you go into your lesson. Now here is where you're gonna see some difference. You're gonna have everything the same, but you see, I think that's orange. My daughter says it's different, but it's orange to me. All right, so in the orange writing is where it's gonna give you, the teacher, an idea of what their response might look like. Now, some of the things are very open-ended, but it's gonna give you an idea of what you're looking for, how you're gonna be grading them, and what you should be encouraging, and what the exercises that help within that context. And then it's gonna elaborate for you, especially if you're the one that is presenting the lesson. So the orange is information for you, the teacher. The black is what your student is seeing. All right, so if you feel completely confident in your ability to grade and know exercises and stuff like that, grammar, things, answers and stuff like that, and you feel like you don't need the teacher manual, maybe, you know, that's fine for you to maybe not need as much. If you're trying to decide if you need to buy it. For me personally, even someone that's being strong in English, I like having a teacher manual because I like to have that reassurance. I like to be able to refer back to if they ask me a specific question and I'm like, you know what, maybe I'm wrong, or maybe I'm looking for something different, whatever not. So anyways, you see all this orange. So all the black is completely what they see in their course book. So what's different with the teacher manual is the information for you that as you follow along. So that is, you have the same learning checklist, you have all this so you can follow along. And if they're working independently, this is also especially good for you because then you can follow along whatever they're doing. All right, and again, you have the 100 Ways book, you have the English books, and all the literature is part of the English. All right, so far this grade has been one of our favorites, and I think that we say this with every higher grade that we go into. I just think I love their elementary grades, but where for me Oak Meadow truly shines is middle school and up. It just speaks to us. It has the perfect balance of that whole child approach, holistic, still that Waldorf sprinkle, but still academically rigorous, but also very intentional and great for a child that has learning differences or difficulties, and is very adaptable and easy for us to add in something we may need because that's an area of struggle and they need to present it in a different way, or just because it's a passion of ours, or maybe I need to edit things out without losing the context of the intentions of the lesson, and we can go ahead and do that. So if you feel like you're doing the entire Oak Meadow level and it's just too much writing, too much this or whatever, you can simply edit out. Like there may be a writing assignment here, but there's a very big research paper that is going to be doing with social studies. Then I may decide that week that I'm going to skip the English writing assignment and have them do it within their context of their social studies. However, making sure that they're adapting whatever the English elements wanted them to do, like, you know, if there was a certain grammar element or structure or stuff like that, then we would add that expectations into their social studies writing assignment or whatever subject it may be. So anyways, that is it for Oak Meadow English 8. Thank you again, Oak Meadow, for partnering with me by sending us this level. It's always a pleasure, and I am so happy that I can still collaborate with them years later. If you have any questions, leave them down below. And as always, thank you for your presence. Bye-bye.